We had a productive meeting, I think, House and Senate leaders. The president was very forthright. I told the president what I have been saying for many months, and that is that we must have change at the border, substantive policy change. We understand the importance of what's been needed, but when I met with President Zelensky just last month, right before Christmas, he said that the necessary ingredient is the proper weapons systems that they need. There are certain things that are needed to ensure that they can prevail. We understand that all these things are important, but we must insist that the border be the top priority. I think we have some consensus around that table. Everyone understands the urgency of that, and we're going to continue to press for it.
It was a very good meeting and a very positive meeting. There was a large amount of agreement around the table that we must do Ukraine and we must do border. There was tremendous focus on Ukraine and an understanding that if we don't come to Ukraine's aid, that the consequences for America around the globe would be nothing short of devastating. The president himself said over and over again that he is willing to move forward on border. And so we said we have to do both. There were a couple of people in the room who said, let's do border first. We said we have to do both together. I am more optimistic now that we can come to an agreement on border and Ukraine in one package, along with aid to Israel, along with humanitarian aid for the Palestinians in Gaza, and along with helping us Indochina. I am more optimistic than ever before that we'd come to an agreement. I put the chances a little bit greater than half now, and that's the first time I can say that.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about immigration, okay? Because Democrats and Republicans are currently negotiating with the Biden administration in regards to coming together to do a bipartisan deal on the border and also to fund Ukraine and Israel and Indochina to do, the things that Uniparty typically wants to do, right? We know what they want to do, okay? You know that they want to send money overseas. Now, the question is not whether or not they're going to send money overseas. They definitely will end up doing it. It's more about whether or not the border will actually get fixed, okay? Are we actually going to secure the border? And if you listen to the Affirmative Action press secretary, Cringe Jean-Pierre, it is the Republicans that are holding up securing the border, even though this is a lie, and the mainstream liberal media, for once in their lives, have actually done their jobs, and they called out Cringe Jean-Pierre on her lies about Republicans and the border, and she went instantly into Kamala Harris word salad mode, trying to explain why the Biden administration and Democrats continue to lie about Republicans and what's going on at the border. Take a look.
Thank you, Corinne. Why are you repeating this false claim that Republicans voted to reduce the number of Border Patrol agents, even though the Washington Post gave the administration 3 Pinocchios for that?
So we don't believe it's a false claim. Our statements were very direct here. Last year, House GOP voted, and not only did they vote for it, but they touted their Limit, Save, Grow Act. That's the act.
Well, limit, and they vowed that it would never affect Border Patrol.
They voted for and touted it, right? This is an act. And this would have forced the elimination of 2,000 Border Patrol agents. That's what this act that they touted, that they voted for in the House. So that was their proposal, and that was what they voted for back in May.
If you're saying that, the White House, the president doesn't want to, insult the American people, will the administration then amend its separate statement that imply that Texas officials were responsible for the deaths of 3 migrants when, in fact, they had nothing to do with it? They had already been dead for an hour by the time Mexico told anyone in the U.S. about it, and the administration admitted as much in their court filing. They acknowledged that in their court filing, but the statement from the White House implies that Texas was responsible, and a number of outlets were forced to issue corrections and editor's notes because of that White House statement. So will the White House amend that statement?
So let's be sensitive here. 3 people died. 3 migrants died. 2 children and a woman. That was devastating. Devastating situation, heartbreaking situation. So let's be really mindful of what we're talking about here. I want to take a step back and just as you're talking about our statement, look, as I mentioned, a woman and 2 children died. They drowned near Eagle Pass, which is, as I said, devastating, and that Texas officials blocked Border Patrol from accessing the area. That's what was happening. at that time.
Yeah, so you see, you hear that, okay? Chris Jean-Pierre getting called out for her lies in regards to the Biden administration, trying to say that, well, Republicans want to reduce the number of Border Patrol agents, okay, which is a lie. And also claiming that Republicans, Texas officials, are responsible for illegal immigrants dying as they were trying to enter the country illegally, okay? Yeah, that's a lie as well, too, okay? Again, it's refreshing to see the mainstream liberal media actually do their job. So while the Republicans and Democrats are negotiating in, the White House with the Biden administration on a deal, you also have negotiations, more so really arguments and conversations and debates going on in Congress, where you have Democrats absolutely losing their mind over the Republican proposal to secure the border, the Secure the Border Act, which is legislation that I went over yesterday in my video about Kamala Harris, who also had word salad and dribble to say about the border, right? Didn't really have all that much to really say about it, because if you actually listen to the Democrats and their plan on the border, they just want to grant amnesty to the illegals that are here, and they're going to make the problem worse, right? They actually really don't want to secure the border at all. They want more funding for making it easier to come into the country, right? And that is the opposite of what Republicans want to do. They want to make it harder for illegals to take advantage of the asylum system, okay? And they want to actually disincentivize illegals from coming here and trying to, again, claim asylum when they're really here for economic opportunities. They want policy change, right? They're not just trying to throw money at the problem the same way that the Biden administration is doing it. And again, apparently this is so bad that Democrats in Congress are basically proposing to remove the Statue of Liberty in response to the Republicans' bill on immigration. Take a look.
To my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, let's be honest with immigrants who deserve better than what you're offering them. Don't welcome immigrants if you plan to reject them. If you keep pushing your bigoted H.R. 2 bill, then also pass this bill. I've taken the liberty of drafting it for you. It removes the Statue of Liberty, our largest symbol that tells people to come here. This is who you are, removing the fabric of America. So I want to know which Republican who supports and voted for H.R. 2 will introduce this bill.
Yeah, so I want you guys to understand, Democrats, right, woke Democrats, they're essentially trying to propose a bill to remove the Statue of Liberty because they think that Republicans don't want immigrants to come here because they want to secure the border so that we could stop illegal immigration. Again, it's so funny how Democrats love to conflate legal immigration and illegal immigration, right? Just because you don't want illegal immigrants coming here, they think that you don't want all immigrants coming here, and those are not the same things, okay? I mean, I think everybody agrees that legal immigration is something that we can tolerate and that, in some cases is necessary, but with illegal immigration, yeah, we should not tolerate that, right? That's something that everybody should be opposed to in a country where we have common sense and we care about securing our borders. But again, we don't live in a country with common sense. A lot of people really don't want to secure the borders, right? Particularly progressives. But the good thing is that there is some light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to this issue, because 68% of the American people disapprove of Biden's handling and his policies when it comes to the border. Okay, his approval rating is at an all-time low. Immigration has to do with it. And also 63% are saying they want him to be tougher on the border. Okay, so a vast majority of the American people agree with the GOP and the GOP and their solution that they're proposing in order to fix the problem, okay, which is why they have all the leverage in the world, okay? And instead of Democrats actually coming up with good arguments for why we should allow illegal immigration, which, there are no good arguments for why outside of emotions, cheap labor, and future Democrat Party voters. We all know that they pulled a race card, right? This is what they're going to do. They pulled a race card in order to make arguments rather than to actually argue about the merits of the policy in and of itself. Take a look.
Extremists. Let's be clear. There is a crisis right now. But it's not because the southern border is open or because immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country, which the Republicans and their racist cult leader, Donald Trump, want you to believe. The real crisis is one of, nope, it is, he is not a current president.
The gentlelady will suspend until the motion is dealt with.
What were the offending words?
Would Mr. Mr. Cloud, will you state the words?
She mentioned that Republicans were racist.
I didn't say that. I said racist cult leader Donald Trump, who is not a current president, so it is not engaging in
You said
personality.
Republican members and their.
No, she's clarifying she's not referring to Republicans in general. She was referring to one individual who is not protected by the rules.
Absolutely. The words say, which the Republicans and their racist cult leader, Donald Trump. Right now, Congress and the administration are signaling they are willing to use immigrant communities as bargaining chips for more war and more weapons. However, raising the credible fear standard and imposing violent enforcement policies like mass family separation and summary deportation would destroy our asylum system for a generation, would violate our obligations under international law, and ensure more chaos in the immigration system. The damage caused by this chaos and inhumanity is personal for me and my constituents. My office has seen a significant increase in immigration cases in the recent months. Each one shows the human dimension of this issue. A family fleeing the horrific violence in Sudan, a mother who can't take care of her ill child, a woman with cancer whose family members can't visit her, a doctor whose fiance can't live with her, a young man whose wife died and whose family members couldn't attend her funeral. Endless wait times for family members fleeing violence and persecution in Haiti and Gaza and elsewhere. We are doing the best we can as an office to help our constituents in St. Louis and their families face these crushing obstacles, but ultimately, Congress must act. Congress must legislate. We know what the solution is, building a just and humane immigration system and addressing the root causes of migration. That looks like expanding lawful pathways, using parole authority, increasing asylum case processing capacity, securing our authorization for folks who are already here, protecting our dreamers, ensuring that states and cities have the resources they need to process new arrivals, and ending support for war, blockade, sanctions, and other policies that disproportionately harm civilians. We must not surrender to this failed policy approach. We must stand with the people, all of humanity, and with a fair and humane approach to immigration and foreign policy. That is what St. Louis and I will continue to push for. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Mr. Fallon from Texas for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's talk about facts and reality and less about, let's say, word vomit and drivel. Here's a quote. Border is no less secure than before Biden took office. Who said that? Alejandro Mayorkas, the Homeland Security Secretary, said that under oath in front of this Congress. So let's look at some indisputable data. In the first 34 months of the Trump administration, there were 1.6 million illegal encounters. Same time frame, Biden administration, 8 million. No less secure than before Biden took office. That's interesting. In our history, we had two outlier months, 25 years ago, nearly, where we had 200,000 illegal border crossings in a month. Hadn't happened in almost a quarter century. It has happened 20 times under Joe Biden's watch. We had, in the last 2 years of the Trump administration, I believe it was 6 folks that were on the terrorist watch list. In the last 2 years, 6 total. Last year, 169. The number of Russian nationals crossing our southern border has exploded. Same with Chinese nationals. Look at the MO of what the Russians did in Ukraine. They put folks into Ukraine, and then some of them were saboteurs. It doesn't need to be a large percentage. Chinese nationals a few years ago, prior to Joe Biden, there were 323 Chinese nationals across the southern border. Last year was 24,000. If they happen to invade Taiwan, what if just 1% of those folks are saboteurs? Opioid deaths have doubled. Mexican drug cartel profits are at record highs. And last month was...
Yeah, so what you just saw there is the clear and stark difference between how Republicans argue about an issue and how Democrats argue about an issue, okay? Republicans use facts, logic, reasoning, okay? Less emotions. And Democrats are nothing but all emotions and accusations of bigotry and racism. Well, because you want to secure the border, you must be a racist, right? You're following your cult racist leader, Trump, right? Let's talk about all of these, sob stories about illegals trying to enter the country that have personal issues that I think, just average everyday citizens have, and really everybody in the world has, right? If everybody came to the border with their sob story about why they should be let in, then according to Cori Bush, we should just let everybody in, right? Regardless of whether or not you're actually escaping political persecution or not. It doesn't matter. If you come to the border with a sob story about how your life is hard, then according to Cori Bush, we should just let you in, right? These people believe in open borders. They're telling you straight up, we believe that the border should be open. Anybody who wants to come to this country should be allowed to come to this country. And again, it really blows my mind because Cori Bush, her district is overwhelmingly black in a city that is overwhelmingly violent, okay, and is chaotic because of crime, okay? And she's seeing an uptick in immigration cases because we have more illegal immigrants in the country, right? So you're having to deal with these issues. Now, who do you think these illegal immigrants are going to replace in her district's workforce? They're going to replace these so-called black folks that stay there, right? And she's sitting right up here, and she is a proponent of that happening, right? She's a proponent of illegal immigrants who, again, will be used for cheap labor coming in and taking jobs away from the black people that she represents. That's exactly what she is a proponent of. Just like she was a proponent of defunding the police, while she has the most expensive, or one of the most expensive, security details in Congress. Again, I'm not sure exactly what it's going to take for black people to realize that Cori Bush, people like her, are not pro-black, right? They're not for you, okay? They're not even pro-America. They are pro-progressive. They're pro-Democrat, okay? That doesn't mean pro-black, because the policies and solutions that she's pushing literally are going to hurt or negatively affect the people in the communities that she represents. But for whatever reason, people keep lining up and vote for individuals like her, okay, because she wants to boo-hoo whine and cry about white supremacy and racism all day, while voting for policies that, in my opinion, again, are detrimental to the black community. Again, it's absolutely amazing how that works. Absolutely amazing. But anyways, like I said, Republicans, if they end up compromising with Democrats on this issue and funding Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, right? So if they send all the money overseas, okay, and then they end up compromising with Democrats and we actually really don't secure the border, this will be a massive failure from the Republican leadership. And I'm talking about Mike Johnson, the speaker, because they don't have to compromise on this issue, right? They do not have to compromise on border security. And the reason why is because from a political perspective, the longer the border stays open, even though it's terrible for the country, right? There actually needs to be a solution now, right? Let's keep it 100 in the ideal world. But again, if the border continues to stay open like it is, if there is no deal that is done, it's just going to hurt the Biden administration. Okay, and Biden will be voted out in the next election. And again, part of the reason will be because of this immigration issue. And then hopefully Republicans will have more leverage to actually secure the border, right? There's no need to compromise with Democrats and to give them a W when you're not actually really solving the problem. It's already bad enough that we're sending the money overseas in order to actually get the border secure. That's the only thing that will bring Democrats to the table, is that if you promise to withhold money from Israel and Ukraine and Gaza and other countries, that's the only way that Democrats actually can come to the table to potentially talking about securing our own borders, is if we pay to secure somebody else's, right? Again, it's sad, right? It is extremely sad that is what it takes to get Democrats to the negotiating table. But like I said, Republicans should not compromise on this. A compromise on this, in my opinion, is a failure. And that's probably what will happen because, I mean, that's just par for the course when it comes to GOP. But hey, I am hoping and praying that I'm wrong about this. I hope that they actually do, get House Resolution 2 passed and they secure the border. Even if it's something that happens before, Trump gets back in office. I don't care about that as much as I care about actually solving the problem and, stemming illegal immigration into this country, because again, it needs to stop now, right? Not later. Okay. And, that's what I want to see. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.